After a month away from the track, the wait is finally over. The summer break is behind us, and we are now back in business here at SDN Racing. Welcome to round 4 of season 6, and what a way to return as well. From the desert streets of Jeddah to the towering forest of the Ardens, we arrive at the legendary circuit Spa-Francorchamps for the Belgian Grand Prix. It's been quite a few weeks in Saudi Arabia. It's time for teams to reset, drivers to recharge, and the championship tension to simmer just a little longer too. But tonight, the Title 5 reignites at full speed, and there is no better place to do it than Spa. 15 drivers here tonight, which is quite interesting, so I think it's going to be short qualifying, which is going to be beneficial for me and Milan Langer too, because long qualifying can be very long, obviously. But it's one of the longest circuits on the calendar, 7 kilometres, and it's known for his famous corners like Eau Rouge, Radion, Puon, Blanchimont, and they got a classic mix of fast straights, sweeping bends, and the brutal elevation changes too. The weather is almost famously unpredictable, as we've seen rain over the past course of the years too. I'm surprised 2025 didn't get cancelled after what we saw. But alongside me, as always, is my partner in crime. His name is Milan Langer. How are you doing, mate? Nice to see you.
Thank you very much. I'm doing all right. Just coming back from holiday, but yeah, it's been a long while since the last race of last year. It feels way longer than a month, but I guess time passes quite quickly here. But I'm glad to be back here for SDN to return this season. I'm gonna have to look at the last few results to get my memory refreshed. But Spa, yeah, it's always a great track to drive on, and as a commentator as well, always provides with great action, with especially that long run towards. Up to Eau Rouge and then down the Camel Straight after turn 1. Always great for action, so I definitely look forward to what we will see tonight and who is going to be able to come out on top after what will be 22 laps. So yeah, very excited for this one, as per usual.
Me too, mate. Me too. We've seen plenty of good racing here in the past spot in League Racing in Belgium. Remember last season as well, I think it was Tibber, F1 Shorts, who won the Belgian Grand Prix after pitting earlier than Eastbrand and the rest of them as well. And Eastbrand was on a charge because he was catching up in the Haas after people, but Tibber just won the Grand Prix after a fantastic race for him. His first race win of the season. TVH NL has joined. So how does this transpire? How does this work? We started the lobby with 15 drivers, so we can't really have a long qualifier. Now there's 16. Does it automatically transform into long qualifier now? How does it all work? Do you know?
No, I think it's just going to be short either way. It probably is. They set it to what the amount of drivers is at the start, and then set it to short. So I think we're going to have short qualifying for tonight, which I guess is nice for a change. But so no hour of qualifying, just 18 minutes, which is putting some extra pressure on some of these drivers who usually have two sessions, Q1 and Q2, to get into their rhythm for the final runs in Q3. But now it's basically one Q3 session, just a little bit longer, 18 minutes. So it's going to be interesting to see who is going to be able to get up to speed as quickly as possible and put their car on the front row and on pole position.
Ivan is back, by the way, in the Ferrari. He just bought a PS5 and the F1 game too. So Ivan is back, and there is 16 drivers on the roster here tonight as well. As Papa starts his final lap, headed down towards the Camel Straight. DRS wide open as well, reaching speeds about 345 kph. That's about 217, I believe it is. As we head down in towards the chicane we go. Oh, back end steps out, almost lost the car, and almost spins too for good measure. So unfortunately, massive wheel spin on the entry there, and he had to back out of it. As you can see, not happy, but it is his first flying lap, so expect the ring rust, and hopefully the cobwebs will be shaking very soon as well. It is a long track, like I said, 7 kilometers, so you can't really afford to make any sort of mistake around here as well, because that'll be costly and have a massive impact later on in the qualifying session. Whereas long qualifying, you can afford to make those tiny mistakes now and then, because obviously you've got plenty of time in store. But tracks like this, you don't get plenty of chances because it's so long. Like Austria, Canada, Monaco, Australia, Spain, you get plenty of chances to do more laps as well because they're so short. So you can afford to throw away a lap or two. But around here in Belgium, every single lap is crucial, and also a banker lap is crucial too, to have the reference points as well. But unfortunately, he's made a mistake, and through goes the RP driver. I think there's 17 drivers now on the grid. Daniel has joined, and he has been around for quite a long time in SDN as well, and we've seen some glimpses and glamour of pace from him, but he just can't seem to get it together. I remember the Austrian Grand Prix when he had good races. It's just up and down. It's like a fruit machine. 1 minute you can see him at the top of the field, and the next minute he's just at the bottom. So it's quite unknown for, I think it is for, Who was I talking about just then? As Phase Enders goes quickest with a 43.7, it was Daniela, yeah. I just completely forgot who I was talking about there. But Phase Enders goes quickest. I'm quite sure what that was in the background. I heard someone screaming in the background, so hopefully nothing happens there. But it is Phase Enders who goes quickest with a 43.748.
Ticey then in the sour makes his way out of the final corner. He's on the medium still, so it won't be any quicker. Well, it is actually 42.7 by a second even, so Dennis definitely has some time to find on this lap. Then it's Kevin Zonneberg. He's in the McLaren, he's on the intermediate, so definitely don't expect this lap to be any quick compared to the ones we've seen so far. Just doing his banker lap on the intermediates to not waste a set of tires. That Octavia goes quickest with a 42.7, just 3 thousandths quicker than Ticey, and there's more drivers coming to finish their flying laps. Avan goes quickest on his return with a 41.2. That's actually quite a good banker lap from him, I must say. Already 1.5 seconds quicker than anyone else. So Avan currently on top. Leonard goes to P2 in the 42s as well. So brilliant lap so far for the Ferrari driver. Who else is coming into the final corner? I think the Aston Martin of Dion is going to finish their lap, but that is going to be a 1:44.6 only to put themselves in P6. As Mills Game and Lucas both on the lap. Lucas on the intermediates, and Fireblaze has just started us up. He's getting a nice slipstream there from his teammate for tonight, Avan, as he makes his way into the second sector. So let's take a look what the Ferrari driver can do. I know he can be quite quick at Spa. In a race I did a few weeks ago, he was very competitive, and I was fighting out with him for the race win. So let's see if he's going to be able to do the same tonight here in SDN. In his championship aspirations, but he's making his way through the second sector, through No Name Corner, and now into Pouron, which is still flat out like it has been for the past couple of years, especially in qualifying in a race. It will be much trickier with dirty air on this game. Now into the right and left hander, which can be tricky with the curbs on the inside. I have to be mindful of those and not get dragged along on the outside curb. And now to the right hander to end the second sector into the final sector, which is pretty much full throttle, and the bus stop chicane, which is far from a bus stop chicane. It used to be a real bus stop chicane, but now it's just a regular chicane. But flat out through Blanchimont we will go, and down into the final braking zone. Have to pick your braking foot really nicely there, and not have your backhand step out as well. But looks like he is managing that quite nicely as he comes out of the final corner. Is he going to be able to go quicker than Avan on his first lap? No, he's not. 5 tenths behind Avan. What a great lap he's put so far in this session.
Ferrari 1-2, but there's 5 tenths separated two Ferraris. By the way, Milan, it is 4 qualifiers, says Kevin Berg. So I think because there's 2 extra drivers in the session, I'm going to have the full qualifying procedure. I thought Avan's retired, so it definitely tells you that it's a long qualifying as well. So because we started with 15 people, I thought that it automatically sent us into short qualifying, and I didn't realise that when 2 extra drivers got added, it will go into full qualifiers. So it makes sense now. It is full qualifying, hence why we've seen some people on the intermediate compound tyres and also the medium compound tyres too. So we can afford to make a few mistakes around here. So the Haas is not under much pressure like he was at the beginning. Here he is in P7. His Papa up into P7 with a 43.1 and quite a long way from his nearest competitor, Ticey, in P6 in the Kickstarter. Both Saubers have been looking, I'd say, strong this season, including Mum and Nick with some good results as well inside the top 10. So let's see if Mum and Nick can improve. He's still struggling, unfortunately, on this game. And it showed us as well back on Tuesday where he had no pace literally as well. I didn't even know he was in the race. I didn't even know he was at the party with us either. That's how far away he was from me. But Mel's Gaming is in P4 in the Racing Bull, just behind LS3. And Daniela goes up into P5 on the medium compound tyres too. So it's P5 for him with a 42.629. But elsewhere, we've got plenty of people on the outlets. We've got Ryan Viet and also TVH, and I think that's the same last name as Fireblaze has got as well. I think those two share the same last name, Fireblaze and Ryan as well in P12. And Kick is on a lap 2 in P14, and he famously saw, I think, Stefan spin out of, I think it was Stavolo at the time, during last season. That was quite funny as well because he was fighting for a podium and unfortunately just spun out. Ace Band was all over the back of him as he heads towards the end of the first sector. A 30.3 in the first sector for Kick as he swoops through in towards the chicane. We go in towards 4th gear, trying to open up the exit to get a good exit through here. Entry towards exit, sorry, as we head down in towards Rivage. We go down to the gears, and you can see they're just trying to stay close to the apex as he can. Now brings it out wide over to the right hand side, flicks the car in, Nice input there for Kick as he gets back on the throttle once again, headed downhill towards Puon. We should be flat out these days, but I do suffer with a bit of understeer in towards Puon. I've got a race around here on Sunday, so I think I might ask a few drivers for a setup. But as we now head towards the final chicane we go, this can be tricky for me as well, because I just cannot seem to hook it up whatsoever if it's the entry or the exit as well. That can be quite difficult too to hook up. It's a 30.7 as we have float to the floor all the way towards the bus-stop chicane. The famous bus-stop chicane when we saw Rubens Barrichello hit the back of Fernando Alonso in turn on lap 1, as we saw him clatter to the back of the Ferrari drive, because all the guys at the front except Bobby Kubica went off the track because it started raining. Here comes Kick down towards the final two corners, lay the brakes there. You can see taking a wider entry too. Good confidence, good speed, flicks the car in. The back of the power once again. Let's see what the reward is for Kick. And Kick goes towards the top of the time sheet with a 41.208. And I know Williams so far this season haven't really looked competitive as they were as well, headed towards season 5. So I think Kick, I think Williams in total need to find a bit more performance, but hopefully they do, because Kevin Zumberg is the one to beat. He is leading the championship ahead of Fireblaze by a few points as well. Fireblaze, the 2-time champion, I think, of SDN, season 1 and season 2, but unlucky in the past few seasons. The Kick Sauber gets a nice lift stream at the back of the Williams.
TV Ginelli goes up to P10, 2 seconds off the pole time right now, which is Kick in the Williams, a few hundreds ahead of Van. If we look at the other Williams of Lucas, he has just started his first flying lap on the slicks, on the softs. He went out from the intermediates earlier this session, but with 7 minutes to go, he's gone out to try and set a lap time on the soft compound tires. He makes his way into the second chicane, the Lecombe chicane, and now on the exit. Let's see what he is going to be able to do. Can he get anywhere near the time of his teammates, which would be enough to get him through into the next part of qualifying? So a few drivers already retired. Mels in the RB is retired, despite being 1.2 seconds slower than Kick and Van, but he thinks that he's safe. Of course, we'd only have 17 drivers, so only 2 will get knocked out. So if you get a time inside the top 10, you should be safe. But Lucas makes his way through the second sector into this tricky chicane, which is very difficult to get right with the curbs, as Kevin goes up to P4, 6/10 off as Lucas hits some grass on the inside. Not the best line, could have taken 2 there. It says it's purple, but I doubt it is. I think there's some time to find in the middle sector now on this final straight and towards Blanchimont and into the final chicane. Let's see if he's going to be able to go into the 141s and get near the times of the 2 other AMS drivers right now on the front row. I say front row, it's Q1. We still got Q2 and Q3, but Lucas out of the final corner. He crosses the line for 41.4, which puts him in P3. So Williams looking quite strong tonight, and so is Ferrari.
Indeed, Lucas is at the better of his teammate in the past few races too, scored a podium back at the Qatar Grand Prix as well, and also scored a podium at Jeddah too. So Lucas has got some podiums to his name this season as well, whereas Kick has been on the back foot and struggling. I don't think Kick has scored a podium just yet, surprisingly, this season as well, after being a champion as well. And somebody's retired, I think it's in the pit lane, as Moles Gaming is retired, LS3 is retired too. So I think a few people are comfortable so far in this qualifying session, knowing they're safe for the time being. The heavy hitters don't need to go out there and waste a set of soft compound tyres, because they're crucial, they're pivotal for Q2 and Q3 as well. So you want to try and do as many more laps as you can to make sure you don't take too much tyres like allocation too, as Hatigas is in the pit lane. A bit of a tricky season so far for Hatigas. His last win was at the Spanish Grand Prix when he took that sensational victory as well, from starting in P11 and P12, but currently P15 so far, on the cusp of elimination. 2 drivers, including his teammates and Mummy Nick, haven't set a lap time, but Mummy Nick is on a flying lap, or was, as we just rode on board with him and we just caught him invalidated too. So Mummy Nick has invalidated the exit of I think it was the Puon corner. Of course, we had a massive crash in 2019, didn't we, with Antonio Giovinazzi there on the final lap of the final corner in towards Puon. I think he was running P10, and all of a sudden he just crashed out as well after taking a lot of curb on the outside and spun out too, because Lewis Hamilton and I think Charles Leclerc were in a battle for first place when Leclerc took his first victory for Ferrari, and in Belgium too, as we all remember the special victory because of Antoine Hubert that day as well. And it was a great moment for Charles Leclerc to win the Grand Prix for his friend. And Mummy Nick is coming back in the pit lane as well. So he's on the back foot. There is 3 minutes left to go in the session. Kevin's on both for tie, knowing he's safe. But Woman Nick and Ryan in P16, P7 there, not looking good so far. As Woman Nick has done a 55.1. He's been out there for multiple laps of those set of softcore power tyres and still can't find a lap time on the board then. So his next chance is his final chance, because the tyre is ticking down. When he gets on his out lap, when he does his flying lap, he'll have one more chance only. Dion Stan in P14 is down in the first sector, but let's see how he does. I think it's his debut here tonight as well. So let's see his middle sector. 3/10 up as well. So he needs to find a bit more time, because his best lap time is a 44.6 and the guy ahead of him is 9/10 quicker, which is FaZe Dennis in P13, of course. I think a driver for JSR as well. TVH&L is P12 with Papa in P11 ahead of Saltavia in 10th place. Danielle in P9 on the flying lap. We've got Dion Stein coming towards the bus stop chicane. Goes a bit wide there in towards the first part, but scoops it up nicely in the second part. So I wonder, where will he go when he crosses the line? He does go or stay P14, but he does improve his lap time. Now, what to watch out for, Milan, is Hatikash, your teammate in JSR and P15. He's on the cusp of elimination, depends if Nick and Ryan are a threat.
He's down on P15. He's one of the drivers that's really been struggling on this game, I feel, because he definitely hasn't been able to get in the results that he has on the previous games, and today doesn't seem to be any different, as he's down in P15 and really only has one more chance to improve. Because his teammate is out there behind, who we know is capable of putting a quick lap that should be able to get him through into Q2. And Mominik, if he does get a lap right, well, we know he's capable of matching Thijs' pace before, so if Thijs is able to go into P7, then Mominik should definitely be able to get into the top 10 as well. So Geitinga is definitely far from safe right now. So let's see if he is going to be able to improve, getting any valid lap time on the board. His best lap time is on the intermediates. In the meantime, Daniele is on the lap as well in the Haas. His best lap time was on the mediums, and he's improving right now as he goes into the final chicane with just under 2 minutes to go. Final runs for all of the drivers, and Daniele is going to improve up to P6, just under a second behind, improves by 0.5 of a second, and this for sure is going to be good enough for him to make it through in the final part of qualifying. Everyone inside the top 10 will not go out for a final lap, but everyone outside the top 10 is out on track to try and improve for their final run. So Geitinga is making his way towards the final corner to start his final flying lap. He doesn't have any more time to go again, so this is the lap where he needs to perform if he wants to go through into the next part of qualifying. Let's take a look what the Red Bull driver is going to be able to do as he makes his way into the La Source hairpin, and very wide there, completely misses the apex there on the inside, and that's far from off the line for the Red Bull driver. Now flat out, you really need to get a good exit out of turn 1, because the next, kilometer is flat out up the hill through Eau Rouge and onto the Camel Straight. So Geitinga already might be at a disadvantage here through sector 1, so he definitely has got some time to make up in the second and third parts of this lap. He sure will be improving, because his lap time was on the intermediates, but only half a second right now. And he also has to keep it within the white lines, but he was very close to not doing so into the Comp chicane on the inside of turn 5. Now into the Shell hairpin, then on the exit into the left-hander of No Name. Very quick, but him once again misses the apex there, as he really is struggling out there. Now towards Puon he goes, and that is looking quite nicely then, but I'm not really sure if this lap is going to be enough, because it doesn't seem to be that quick so far. Now into this next sequence of corners, the right-hander and the left-hander, far from the apex, but keeps it on track. And into the final sector he will go. What is his time right now? He's improving by 5.2 seconds. He knows that he needs to find at least, well, probably six seconds, and he will be quite safe, because Steven Chanel and FaZe Dennis, they're not improving. They're P12 and P13, so he needs to get ahead of those, and then he should be safe. So he needs to find another second in the final chicane. Let's see if he's going to be able to pull that off as Geitinga makes his way out of the final corner. Is this lap going to be enough to get him through into the next part of qualifying? Improves up to P9, and I think that is going to be just about enough.
So Dion Stan has been pushed into P15 on the periphery, or getting knocked out, but he is down in the middle sector. What can he do? Can he make the time back up? As he makes his way towards the line, he goes and he's down, and there's two people who can knock him out in the relegated zone. It's Mummy Nick in the kick out, but here he is, and also the Red Bull driver of Ryan Viette as he makes his way out of the final corner. A bit scruffy there too, as here he is towards the line. Goes P14. What can Mummy Nick do? He goes, I'm not quite sure where he went actually, because I didn't quite see for the time being.
11.
11th. So it did get knocked out, did the driver who crossed the line, unfortunately. And we'll see who makes it into Q2. So there it is, and the heavy hitters are Kirk, Ivan, and Lucas, top three. Williams versus Ferrari, like it was back in the old SDN days too. So we've got the return of them. Kevin Zumberg does save a set of soft compound tyres because he did his best lap on the mediums, which is very impressive once again. But the people who have been knocked out, two people, FaZe Dennis and Dion Stan, unfortunately, have been knocked out. Are qualifying, and they're 3 seconds back as well, so there's a massive split as well between the guys at the back of the field. But Ryan just made it through, both Red Bulls on the back foot as well, heading in towards qualifying in SDN. But we move on to Q2, so it is a full qualifying format. So I think it automatically goes into full qualifying if there isn't more than 15 drivers. If there is more than 15 drivers. But I've noticed as well the weather. It seems like it's getting cloudy out there too, which indicate rain could be on its way, maybe Q3 as well. So I think the drivers might have to be aware about the rain because it could pop in any moment as well, especially around the Ardennes Forest around here in Belgium. It's unpredictable, of course, and we've seen it plenty of times in the past history. The Belgian Grand Prix has been around since 1950, since the first Formula One World Championship. I think it was built in 1923. I don't know, because I've not done my research for such a long time, so it will be wrong, it might be wrong, it could be wrong, or maybe right, so don't quote me on that one, but it's been around for such a long time, maybe almost over 100 years or so, but it's a classic track as well, and one of the fan favourites too, high-speed circuit, and it's given us plenty of action, entertainment, drama as well in the last few races, and this season at the Belgian Grand Prix, I must say, was quite boring, to be honest with you, because the FIA were basically just essentially waiting for the track to just fully dry out almost, and we could have started the race at any given moment too, because the weather was obviously improving. It wasn't like Spa where it was a continuous downpour and therefore we had no chance. As we see the racing ball on the inside there, that's quite risky. Who was that? Hopefully contact wasn't made there. So it was Mel's Gaming who fancied a move on one of the Ferrari drivers. He's had both of them too. But Van does replace Mike as one of the Ferraris go through. That is Van, sorry, as he goes through ahead. Hopefully there's no contact there because that will give you a 5-place grip penalty. You don't want to be racing too much as a Van goes on the esports line. That won't work nowadays because it will throw you completely off the track. But you don't want to be taking too much out of your tyres as well because you need them. They're delicate. Of course, they're fragile, so you need all the grip you can have to start a flying lap.
Indeed, on this year's game, you don't really need to have like 90-degree tires to start your lap. You can get away with cooler tires as they warm up throughout the lap anyway. So you really want to maximize not getting too much tire wear at the beginning of your lap, and that is what these drivers doing right now. On the other games you've seen, you always saw the drivers waving aggressively, trying to warm up their tires. But that's definitely less the case on this game. But we're at the end of these out laps here. I think the first driver to start this lap is Lucas. Yes, he is in the Williams. So let's see what the first lap time on the board is going to be for Q2 as he makes his way very narrowly through Lasor's hairpin. Now out towards Eau Rouge and Radion, which used to be a challenge back in the days. But since the early 2000s, I think it's just been pretty easy flat out, and it's only really a challenge in the rain. So we saw Lando Norris have that big crash back in 2021 in qualifying, so it can be challenging in the rain. To the dry, not so much anymore. But Lucas at the end of the first sector into the second chicane here, and that looks to be quite on rails, to be honest, as he makes his way out of turn 5 and 6, then down to the hairpin, in towards turn 8, and now on the exit towards turn 9. Looks to be quite a decent lap so far from Lucas. We saw the lap times in Q1 were low 41s, so let's see if Lucas is going to be able to replicate that. His teammate at least was. I think he was a few tenths behind in P3 with a 41.4, I think was his lap time in the end. So let's see if he's going to be able to match that and maybe even go quicker, even though it is way cloudier than it was through Q1. So it is possible that the track temperatures have dropped a little bit compared to Q1, so we'll find out if the times are going to be comparable towards to the times we've seen in Q1 so far in this qualifying session. But Lucas now makes his way towards Blanchimont. He has got one chicane to go on this flying lap, and let's see how he tackles that final chicane. Down to braking so at the 100-meter board then as he throws his car to the inside, hitting the curbs nicely, and then on the exit, on throttle as early as possible. He is going to cross the line for what will be a 141.8. A little bit slower than we saw in Q1, but that's the first lap time on the board.
So that could be a scrub set of soft car tyres there for Lucas. I think he can do better than that. So it's a 41.8, and just behind him is LS3 in the Racing Bull 2. Hasn't raced for quite a long time as LS3. It's been a long time since I've seen that name. As Tyson goes up into P4 and Fireblaze the van, P3, P4. Obviously, they can go much quicker than that. So that is a set of all soft car tyres there run by both Ferrari drivers. Now, I'm very interested because the van is only just bought the game, and his pace has been absolutely staggering so far as well in this qualifying session. He set a 40.8 in a practice session in qualifying, and he's close to it with the 41.2 as his Q1 best time as well. So Avan is in the mix here as well. He could be a force to be reckoned with. Both Ferraris have been reignited once again with a solid driver lineup of Fireblaze and Avan. And Avan at times is very, very quick as well. Last season, hit and miss for him as well. Multiple podiums, but did he win a Grand Prix? Was it Vegas? I do remember him winning a Grand Prix, but I can't exactly remember where it was. I think he surely must have won a Grand Prix because he was always up there, and it was just that one occasion where he won. Do you remember Milan where he won?
I'm going to check right now because I'm not quite sure if he has, so I'll come back to you in a minute and tell you if he has.
So we're just waiting for confirmation of Van winning because he's always been a solid driver, has Ivan as well. And yes, he's had his moments as well where it happened early on in the season when he kept making mistakes, etc. But he started picking up podiums as well slowly. And also his race pace was dropping off as well. Because I remember he was always in the DRS range in the first stint last season. Then slowly but surely started dropping off when the drivers pulled away and broke the DRS towards him. But this game, it seems solid for him. And let's see, can he continue his good form and consistency? He's got challengers like Lucas and Kick. Lucas and Kick been teammates for quite a long time now. I think they're both good friends. They're both in AMS as well, Alien Motorsport team, mostly by Dutch people as well. I tried to join the team, but unfortunately they wouldn't let me. And it's a 14.3 in the middle sector for AMS Kick as we continue riding on board with him as well. Has won a race since last season, has AMS Kick. And he was a championship contender as well, along with, I think it was, Finn Hertz and Fireblaze at the time as well. What a championship battle that was all those seasons ago. As Kick heads down towards the Boston chicane, let's see how he does. He just just slightly missed the apex, but hooks him up on the second part. A bit of oversteer too. The car washed away as he heads towards the line at 41.9. So these lap times are slower in comparison towards Q1. So it tells me that I think these guys have gone for a set of scrub tyres, and then they'll put on a brand new set of tyres for Q2 later on in the session. However, Kevin Zumberg might be the quickest because he has a new set of soft car tyres. We definitely know for sure as he ran the midi-car bar tyres, as he climbs through Eau Rouge and Radio Amigo. Might pick up a slipstream on the back of the Williams there if he's smart about it. DRS wide open. There is the Williams in front of us, harvesting on the straight. Hopefully he gets out of the way because he is in the middle now, pulls to the right side. It's going to be 336 kilometers an hour. That's not really quick. He took a lot of curve in both parts there. Really accurate, really precise in terms of turning in there. But the speed headed down the straight, that's like 336. I've seen people do 342, 3445. So not used a lot of ERS there. I think he saved a bit of ERS later on in the session as well, has Kevin Zumberg, as he plunges down the hill towards P1. He goes a bit of a moment. He took a bit of grass on the entry towards Jackie Yates' corner. It is called Jackie Yates now. I do keep saying no name, but it is Jackie Yates as we make our way now towards the final chicane we go. Use the curve on the outside to launch off and try and get a good line, good rhythm through here as well, because it's very difficult. It's very easy to misjudge that part of the track. As now we head towards turn 14. It does have a name, but I can't remember. This was Stavolo. Out of Stavolo we go now as he uses all the battery towards the Bristol chicane. Float to the floor all the way down towards the Bristol chicane we go. As you can see, he's running low on the ERS there. Flat out as we bunch him on. We saw Valtteri Bottas spin in 2018 there as well. As we head down towards the heavy braking zone, down to the gears before we go in second gear. Look at that, right the curve. He cut a lot of that curve there, got away with it. As he's back on the throttle, once again we go. It's going to be a 40.9. Wow, that's 3/10 quicker. They're Q1's best lap time, and that's his first attempt on a set of soft power tyres. What a blistering lap for Kevin Zumberg again. The man that won the last two races, been on the podium every single race as well this season. Missed on a win as he had a second time penalty because Dylan Hogeland was the one that went on to win in Australia in a wet race. But in Saudi Sprint feature and also Qatar, he has won and dominated the last three races. Can he make it four? Can anybody else stop him? That's the question.
Great lap there. Can't say I'm surprised though. He's always been quick in qualifying, and today seems no different. First one to go into the 140s, and we're not even in Q3 yet. So a great lap indeed. Tivicino was unable to put in a lap time because he invalidated going through Poon. And by the way, to come back onto the Van thing, he hasn't won a race last season. He got very close in Las Vegas. He finished second to Kevin, so he hasn't won yet last season. So he might be able to do this season because he has been quite quick. And speaking of him, he's out on track and he is starting another flying lap, which I presume is on a brand new set of softs. Because 2 seconds off the pace of 42.9, definitely not. Definitely way slower than he has been. He said a 41.2 on his bike lap in Q1. So out there once again to try and improve. He's already up by half a second through sector 1. So let's see if he can he get anywhere near the time of Kevin. We know he has done a 41.2 in Q1. Can he get into the 40s? That will be pretty insane, knowing that he's just been on this game for a few days since he bought it. So already showing some impressive pace. I must say, already up there with the best drivers who have been playing this game for months. And he just showed up and showed them he still got that pace. But now he makes his way into the right-hander and the left. So he is far from the apex, so definitely there's some room for improvement. And now into Stavolo on the exit of sector 2. He's up by 1.5 seconds, so that is more likely. That is more like it. I think he will be up to P2 for sure. The gap between Kevin and Lucas is 9/10 of a second. But how close will he be to Kevin's time? That is what we're going to find out in a few moments' time, after he navigates his way through the bus stop chicane, down into the braking zone. And now on the exit, get the power down as early as possible. Bit of a moment though on the exit, but he is going to cross the line for what will be a 141.3, so a little bit slower than his Q1 time, but still a lap time good enough that should probably be able to see him to the next part of qualifying.
Of course, Q2 is all about getting yourself inside the top 10, ready for the top 10 shooter, so I don't think he was pushing too hard there. He wants a lap time to be in the competition and be in the fight for Q3, as his teammate Fireblaze is out there too. He won the Season 1 and Season 2 championship to Fireblaze. I think he's been a championship fight every single season, bar in Season 5. Yeah, he was in Season 5, obviously, because it was Fireblaze versus, I think it was Eastbound at the time as well. Eastbound left, unfortunately. I don't think we've seen Eastbound this season. I think we saw him in Australia, but he left early doors at the end of qualifying as well. So not quite sure what happened to the champion of Season 5 there. They just disappeared, unfortunately, and nowhere to be seen for the time being there, because he was a force to be reckoned with every single race as well when he was up there winning the championship, winning the races and winning the championship too. And Kick, Season 4 champion as well, after that fantastic fight with him, Finn Hertz and Lucas too. That was a thrilling fight. I was only there to see 2 races, and what was bad for me is when I first joined SDN, I got thrown right into a championship fight, and it was Azerbaijan. I think it was the penultimate race of the season. I'm thinking to myself, wow, it's the penultimate race of the season, and there's a championship fight going on. I have no idea which driver has done what in terms of results. So I've been thrown into the deep end already, and have got to figure out the points already. So that was a bit of a, that messed with my head a little bit, but ever since we joined Season 5 full-time, things have been running okay, because it was a bit of a struggle competing for Azerbaijan with new drivers, me thinking it was a full Dutch league. Daniel has joined by the session as well, as now Fireblaze heads towards turn 14. SDN wasn't as good as it was in Season 5, it must be said. We're still lacking attendance, but at least we still got majority of the people here. 17 drivers, of course, but of course we are missing a few drivers, including Mike. Mike has finally called it quits, because him and Eric had a massive crash back in Saudi Arabia at turn 2 with a famous TikTok clip, as Lucas has retired in the pits, and that's 0.5 per second in between himself and the van too. So is he safe? Does he feel like it? As Fireblaze now makes his way towards the final 2 corners with the DRS wide open for the Dutchman. He crosses the line P3 and 3/10 away from his teammate Van in P2. So Fireblaze and Van are there in contention. They are quite far away from Kevin Zumberg. Kevin, however, is on another outlap. Is that a new set of soft compound tyres attached to his car? And if it is, yeah, it's a new set of softs. That's quite intriguing. Why would you waste another set of soft compound tyres when you know you're already safe? And it could be useful for the race too, just in case of safety cars like there was in Saudi Arabia. So Kevin has risked it again. Of course, you get another set. I think you get 2 sets of softs in towards Q3. So maybe just using this set to see, or try and get a feel for the track. Maybe have a bit of fun out there too. He's got the pace to do so. But nothing to lose. Well, everything to lose actually from Kevin Zumberg. But Octavia in P7 is on another flying lap. There he is in Mercedes, running in 7th place there. Let's see if he's up or down the first sector. He is up by 900ths of a second as he swoops through in towards Lacombe. We go up towards turn 7 now, back in the power once again. The outside there, the gravel can catch a lot of people out too as we head downhill towards Rivarge. We go slow speed corner, back on the throttle. Just be patient there as we head towards Jackie Yates corner. Takes a bit of grass on the inside. A lot of people, interestingly, as we talked about Eric, he's actually in the chat. Hello Eric, hopefully you're doing all right. Oh, Octavia unfortunately has just invalidated on the exit pool on there, and that's not good news because there's 30 seconds left on the session, and I don't think he'll get another flying lap. And plus, the competition behind him is quite high, so I wonder if the guys behind him might get ahead. So he's going to be looking over his shoulders, unfortunately, there for Octavia. That's a cost mistake, and it could have huge complications as well for the other qualifying. There's 10 seconds left to go in qualifying. We've got plenty of people out there so far setting a flying lap, but let's see who is the top 10. Doing good, got a race in an hour, so unfortunately couldn't attend. Oh, Eric's got another race. Well, good luck in your other race, Eric, whether it is or whatever league you're doing, and hopefully we'll see you back whenever, mate, because we do miss you, of course. The time differences are insane. Exactly, mate. The time differences are quite huge in between the drivers. Not what we used to seeing. We used to seeing it so compact, but a track like this, it can be quite difficult, and that's why we've got a massive field spread, widespread.
Indeed, so we're at the end of this qualifying session. Octavia stays in P7. I wonder if that's going to be enough. His teammate just went into the gravel on his lap. Someone's gone off on their laps as well. I think it might have been Colin in the Haas who was gone off, so he is not going to be safe in P10. But TV Chanel is the first one to cross the line. Well, he's not, because he's put him back to the pit lane. So TV Chanel, he is out of qualifying, confirmed. And now, what about Thijs? He slides his way into the final chicane. He's up by 0.6 of a second. That's just any time with that. He crosses the line. He goes up to P8, so he finds himself inside the top 10. But will it be enough? Then it's the two Red Bulls. Geitengaas down in P13 once again. On the brink of getting knocked out, he crosses the line, but he proves up the P4. Great lap then, and that should be able to get him through, as Kik has invalidated. He's down in P7, but I think he might be able to make it through, as Mels is up next in the V-Carb. He's down in P11, needs to improve, and he does, but only up to P9. That leaves two drivers out to try and improve. Ryan is first in the Red Bull. He doesn't make it, stays in P11. What about Mominik? Can he get into Q3? No, he misses out by 0.7 of a second to his teammate. It was going to be either one of the Saubers, as Kevin goes just even quicker, 40.5. It was going to be either one of the Saubers, but it's going to be Thijs making it through. And Mominik unfortunately falls at the second hurdle by 0.7 of a second.
Just there as well, 7,000, so close, and being knocked out by a teammate. He'll be disappointed with that one, of course, as Tyson just gets himself inside the top 10. Mel's game in P9 ahead of Octavia. So Octavia made a mistake, and he only got relegated one place, down towards 8th, so it wasn't too bad. But Mel's, however, he was on an absolute flying lap, and unfortunately, well, I say unfortunately, he did make it through still, but I was on board with him. He dipped a wheel in the gravel at turn 14, where we saw Magnussen go off there qualifying, and Carlos Sainz too in the race in 2024, I believe it was. Yes, it was, because he was fighting on a different strategy as other people were doing. I think it was medium to hards or hards medium, can't remember what it was. But it's Kevin Zumberg in first ahead of two Ferraris. Geitengaas P4, so brilliant for him. It looks like he was on the back foot the whole time. Lucas in P5 ahead of LS3. LS3, the German driver, doing really good so far. Currently in a P6. So let's see, can he continue his momentum? I've seen his name somewhere. I'm not quite sure if he's in a different league or maybe even SDN. Maybe he has a race for a long, long time, because that's definitely a recognisable name. Do you recognise him, Milan? I think Milan just went at the wrong time there, because we just heard his helmet.
You're talking about LS, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I know him. He's raced in JSR and Tier 2. He's called Leonard. I think he's raced in Tier 1 as well for maybe some races. But yeah, I do recognize the name, although it's not really a recognizable name. But Leonard might ring a bell. So yeah, that's it. That is him. And he's doing a good job, I must be said. He's in Q3 and showing some promising pace right now here in qualifying.
He is indeed then. So the top 10 shooter for Q3, and Kevin Zumberg has been on fire so far with a 40.555. And we talked about Kevin's performances last season too, where he was on fire, but he made so many mistakes, and the only person that could stop him is himself basically. Like Marquez in MotoGP, when he's so quick and so dominant, he's currently like dominating MotoGP, but unfortunately the only person that can stop him is himself, as he crashes out the majority of the times. But Kevin Zumberg, we saw last season, invalidated so many times as well on his best lap times, and he had to fight his way through the field. But it seems like he's rectified those mistakes, kept those mistakes to a minimum, as we see the Ferrari and the kicks out by drag racing down towards Kemmel Straight, but obviously neither driver is putting 100% there as the kick out lets him go. But what can a van do? His best lap time so far is in Q1, and sometimes that's the way it goes. People can peak towards the very early stage of qualifying, believe it or not, as well, because I think it's just that mindset, that mentality as well, where you're trying to push so hard to beat a lap, but unfortunately you make a few mistakes or can't get the perfect lap as well. It's such a weird thing as well. I'm not saying he's going to peak in Q1, because I think it's going to go much quicker in Q3, but I've seen drivers before, including myself, where we set a good lap time and your first lap time, and when you try it second, third or fourth, you can't beat it. It's just your first lap time somehow is perfect, because I think on your first lap time you feel no pressure. It's a banker lap, it's a reference lap as well, just a sighter lap as well. You don't really put too much effort into it. Then all of a sudden, who's that going for a spin on their out laps? That's not going to do the tyres any good. That is, LS3. So he's gone for a spin at the final chicane, and that's going to cause a bit of damage to his tyres there too. So hopefully it hasn't affected his tyres too much, but we have seen people spin there in the past as well. Antonio Giovinazzi spun there in 2020 and took out George Russell in the process too. As we've got Mercedes on the flying lap, it's Octavia in a P7 in the Mercedes as we head down in towards turn 1. Octavia, who has multiple top 10 finishes last season as well, he has always been, I dare say, not brutally, but honestly, a midfield driver as well. We haven't really seen him at the top of the order, but he has been putting in solid results as a midfield driver too. We have seen him struggle too before in the past, when in qualifying and races, when it all goes bad at the back of the field. But it's like Q3. I do like underdogs, for example, like TVHNL and Octavia. They're both underdogs as well when it comes to qualifying in the race. As I think TVHNL scored his best result in the Hungarian Grand Prix in P4 as well. He can be a driver sometimes to watch out for, because he can be clean and consistent with no penalties as well, keep those penalties to a minimum, and he's always up there finding his way through the field. He is not out of Q2 so far, is TVHNL, the Dutchman, as Octavia is headed down in towards Piron when he goes, as let's see how he takes it very nicely as well. The car pointing in the right direction, carrying the speed all the way through, down towards the final chicane. Let's see, he doesn't use the curb on the outside, as he takes a lot on the inside too, and picks up a grass on the entry too. And that is difficult as well, because you want to be precise in terms of how much curb you use towards the final chicane, and dips the wheel on the gravel on the outside too. I do not like the way the final chicane is, because the grass is right there on the inside as well. Like too much, turn it too much, unfortunately you pick up a bit of grass as well. So it is punishing, this track, very, very punishing indeed. You can't afford to make any mistakes or go out wide, as it will cost you dearly. As we head down towards the Buster chicane, as he exits, let's see what lap time this is from Octavia. 42.6, not too bad, but obviously not the lap time he's looking for, as other people behind him are going to make their way towards the finish line. Evan, I think, it's the first one. There he is in the Ferrari. The Dutchman heads towards the line. It's a 41.7, so still can't beat his Q1 time. It was a 41.2. Ticey in the kick Sauber goes up into second place, and LS3 beats the van. He sets a 41.6 in the Racing Bull, but Fireblaze goes up into P2, so both Ferraris have been defeated by LS3, the Racing Bull. Hatikas goes up into P4 in the Red Bull with a 41.8 there as well. So Van can't find the pace as he did in Q1. Is it too much pressure? Is he pushing too hard? I'm not quite sure. He's not suitable with the car, because his first lap time was literally his best lap time in Q1, first ever lap around here in Belgium, and somehow he still can't beat it. But let's see if he can later on in this qualifying session. We've got Kevin Zumberg, we've got both Williams out there so far, As James says, is Eric out? No, he's not. He's not racing. Eric was in the chat earlier on, so he is taking part in a different race. Eric is not out. As Kick goes quickest with a 41.0. That's more like it from Kick. Better lap time there. So close towards the 40s. And Kevin Zumberg now is heading towards the bust of chicane. The mighty Dutchman who's been on form so far since the start of the season and last season too. Here he is. Here comes McLaren driver. It's a 40.6. 4/10 clear of Kick, but Lucas is the next competitor. Ooh. Lucas up into P2. His best lap time of the session is a 40.859. Incredible lap time there for Lucas. Both Williams are up into P2 and P3. Advantage Williams versus Ferrari there.
Yeah, great lap time. Lucas, the only other driver to go into the 140s tonight, apart from Kevin, who has done multiple times. He did a 40.5 in Q2. He's now done the 40.6 on his banker lap in Q3. But only 3 drivers here are setting some representative lap times, because after them it's really close between Leonard in P4 and down to Mels to P8. But those are not quick lap times at all, because we have seen both Ferraris, they have gone multiple tenths quicker through Q1 and Q2, so I do wonder if they are on a used set of tires. So I think they should be able to get quicker as well. So was Geitegas in Q2, he was quicker than that. So the lap times are going to be coming in at the end of this session. But at the moment, it's Kevin, not surprisingly, on pole position. I think he will be getting that pole tonight at the end in 5 minutes time. But who's going to fill out the front row besides him? Will it be Lucas? Will his 40.8 be enough to secure him at front row? Is there anything Kick or potentially one of the Ferraris can do, who I must say have been struggling a little bit through Q2 and so far Q3? They were quick in Q1, where Ivan set at 41.2, but ever since he's been a few tenths behind. So I do wonder if he can get his speed back for the final runs in a few minutes' time.
An impressive performance by LS3 to put the Racing Bull up into P4. Both Racing Bulls inside the top 10, so great valiant attempt there from both of them. Moles Gaming, who was in Division 2 last season, now moved up into Division 1, and so far is at the top 10. Both of them is at the top 8 there as well, Moles Gaming and LS3. But Fireblades and Ivan, P5 and P6, I dare say there's a lot more to come from Fireblades and Ivan. I think it takes a lot of time for them to build up and prepare as well. It takes them a lot of lap time as well. The confidence sometimes can deteriorate, and hopefully they'll find that confidence later on in the session, and it's going to happen on the final lap as well, because Ivan, well, his best lap time was a 40.8 in a qualifying practice session as well. Not time trial, in a qualifying practice session. Where's that gone as well? He's like 9 tenths back. Plus, that could be a scrub set of soft compound tyres attached to the Ferrari car too. So, hopefully on their last runs, they can be more competitive and be more closer. But Lucas and Kick, they always come out of nowhere, those two as well. Like, sometimes it seems like they have no pace when it comes to the early stage of qualifying, and all of a sudden, they have the lap time there, Lucas and Kick as well, so great from both of them, especially Kick as well. He needs this after having a difficult few races, hasn't scored a podium just yet this season either. Still searching for that podium too is Kick. However, Lucas has been on form so far, was scoring multiple podiums, and also back in the Australian Grand Prix, he did qualify quite high, didn't he? But he dropped backwards dramatically in the race as well. But we've got some cars there making their way out of the garages, Mercedes as well, and we'll see who can dethrone Kevin from pole position, because in McLaren car on the track there's only one McLaren car, which is Kevin Zumberg. His teammate has been eliminated out of qualifying. So let's go on board with Kevin Zumberg. Let's actually go on board. You know what? Yeah, that's a good point now, what I'm thinking to remember, because Kevin Zumberg always says I misses his lap times, always. So this is the moment where Kevin gets the spotlight. I know I miss his lap times for some reason, just have a tendency to not to have a look at it, but now I have the chance, as he's the first one on the circuit. I'm not quite sure why I do that actually with Kevin Zumberg, nothing against him of course, but I just don't seem to pick him up whenever he's on an absolute flyer. So here he is then in the McLaren, and we'll see what he could do. Not much separated by Fireblades and Kevin Zumberg in the championship. I think it's going to be like a few points between the two. I think it's 8 points. Yeah, Kevin's leader by 59 points. Fireblades is P2 with 51. Enzo Max, who is not here tonight, is third place with 36 points. Dylan Hogeland is P4, 33 points. Remember, he retired early doors at the Saudi Arabia Grand Prix. He just called it quits after a mistake when he finished second in the sprint race. Lucas P5, 1 point ahead of Eric in 6th place. And Finn Hertz up into P7. By the way, it is his birthday, so happy birthday to Finn Hertz, a very, very quick driver indeed. You know what? I love... Okay, I just went up with Kevin Zumberg, who's off the track there in Stavlo. But I love it when Finn Hertz, Kevin Zumberg, Dylan, Max, and all of them are together because it's super close and competitive in the races too. Have we seen Kevin versus Finn so far this season? I'm not quite sure, but Milan Langer, I'll let you take it. I'll let you have the lap of Kevin Zumberg.
Alright then, here we go, the lap of the weekend. It's 1.5 minutes to go, and let's see if he can find an improvement. Can he go quicker than his Q2 lap time as Kevin starts his final flying lap? And he's the first one to do so, down to the braking zone off the Lasour's hairpin on the exit into the second gear. A lot of traction there as the back end wanting to step out there as he really maximized the exit there as he now goes through Eau Rouge and Radion up the hill, deploy the battery all the way down to under 50%. DRS now open, 43% still left of the battery to use for the remainder of the lap. Let's see, has he found some time already through the first sector? No, he hasn't. He's down by 1,000th of a second. So not a lot of time in it then as he makes his way on the exit. He hits the curb and he gets dragged along into the grass down to the braking zone of the hairpin, and that for sure has lost him time. It might not have been a lot, but it does mean that it's not going to be a perfect lap for the McLaren driver. Now he will go in towards Pujon flat out and maximizes the track width there and onto the braking zone. We will go off the right-hander and the left-hander. Very tricky. Let's see how he's going to tackle that. Very close to the inside curb there. A bit of a moment as the car wants to step out on the inside. And now on the exit as well, down to go towards Stavalo and on the exit. And he's down on his time still, well, by 0.5 of a second due to that moment he had at the beginning of the second sector. Let's see if he can make it up in the final chicane. He is run completely out of battery now as he goes in towards Blanchimont. So he's gonna have to send it into the final chicane, and let's hope it's gonna stick for him and he finds an improvement out of the final corner. Can he go quicker? Another moment there. A really messy lap, I must be said, for Kevin. He improves, not his time, and it is only going to be a 40.7, so a pretty anticlimactic ending there to this qualifying session for Kevin.
And also for Kevin as well, it's our first time going on board with him, so hopefully we didn't put the cursor in. But Lucas! Oh my goodness me, Lucas! Who's that? Who's in the wall? That is a racing bull. It is... I'm not going to guess, I'm going to see who it is. It is Mel's. Mel's is in the wall, unfortunately, so he has crashed in a bizarre place. We've never seen many people crash through there. I think the main Carl Cayen in 2012 crashed through there too. The reason why I'm laughing because I just get these random facts out of my head out of nowhere. It's just an absolute, like, it just comes out of nowhere sometimes. But back towards the track action. Fireblades towards the final corner. Let's see what the Ferrari driver could do as he crosses the line right now. It's P4 ahead of LS3, but LS3 is up by 0.2 of a second. He is on an absolute flyer as he heads down towards the final two corners. Van stays in P5, does not improve, but here comes LS3, a bit of a wobble on the final corner. Here he is towards the line, he goes up into P4, out-qualifies both Ferraris, and here comes Lucas, stays in P2, or Kick stays in P3, sorry, for the time being then. That is Kick in P3 there, so nobody really improved, and Hatikas goes up into P7 ahead of Octavia. That's a great effort there for the Red Bull driver, who has been struggling this season too, after being knocked out in the last race. As Tyson in P10, what does he do? He stays in P10, doesn't improve on his lap time, but Kevin Zunderberg is on pole position once again by 0.2 of a second. Look at that, both Williams are quite close together indeed, Lucas and Kick. I don't know if I remember this, but I think both of them tripped over themselves in one race because they lost the DRS as well, did Lucas and Kick. I think they were both scrapping away quite hard with each other instead of working together, and it cost them the DRS too. I think it was back in the Spanish Grand Prix, I'm not quite sure. I do have a memory about that one, but LS3 is my, well, I say Kevin Zundberg's my qualifier of the day, but LS3, who was in Division 2, and he's up into P4 in Division 1. That's a mega lap time. Plus, I thought he'd get knocked out of Q1 as well, but he's up into P4. Sensational effort there, valiant attempt, and let's see what he could do in the race. And there are your classifications for this race. Both Ferraris, I dare say, well, anticlimactic from them as well, especially with Van. He never ever beat a 41.2. That was his best lap time in Q1. But Milan, I'm going to go to the toilet, mate. Be right back.
Good luck, mate. So that's the end then of qualifying. Kevin is on pole. Not really a surprise, but he's pulled it off once again. And a 40.6 was going to be enough for him to secure that pole position. He went quicker in Q2, but 40.6 is good enough regardless. 2 tenths clear ahead of both Williams drivers who have shown some great pace as well. So Kevin, he's got some competition in the race. So I'm looking forward to see if he's going to be able to hold on to that lead, or is he going to be fighting it out with those Williams drivers. What can the Ferrari drivers do from P5 and 6 on the grid behind Leonard in P4? It is, I'm not quite sure, it's going to be a one-stop, I think, regularly from mediums to hards, like it usually is on this game, although some tracks timer is really that high that you want to go for the two-stop, but I don't think Belgium is one of those, so it is going to be interesting to see who will come out on top, and if Kevin is going to be able to extend his championship lead. He's had a great run over the past few races. Can he continue? Can he build upon that momentum? He has won at Saudi Arabia. He has won at Qatar. He didn't quite win at Melbourne, but he was I don't think he won. He raced there, but he is your championship leader by 8 points ahead of Fireblaze. Fireblaze, he's got some jobs to do. He's down in P5. Of course, he's still out there in the top 5, and we know he will probably be fighting out for a podium position. But his championship rival is out there on pole position and has shown some mighty pace so far in qualifying at least. Let's see if he's going to be able to do that in the race as well. Here we go for the 5 red lights.
4 5 lights. And we're underway for the Belgian Grand Prix. Let's see what happens down in towards turn 1. The Williams there under pressure from his teammate as we head down towards breaking zone. Into towards last source. Oh, it's so close! And contact between the Williams and Kevin Zumberg there too. He's lost his front wing. Tries to go to the inside there, like Verstappen did back in 2016 and 2019. But the racing ball is up into P2. LS3 is right behind Kevin Zumberg. He might get this issue behind him as well. Let's see. Let's see what he does then. He's right behind him, but nowhere to go for the time being. Side by side between the McLaren and the racing ball too. Here comes Hazard Cass out of nowhere too. He goes up into first place. Does Kevin Zumberg stays first? Sorry, I get confused with the graphics there on the left hand side because face but the Williams has spun. Both Williams having major drama too after fantastic qualifying, higher qualifying, but a blunder in the race. And here comes the van up the inside of NS3 too. Hazard Cass is up into second place. What a start for Hazard Cass to go up into second place there. Fireblaze gets ahead of NS3 too. NS3's had a very good start, challenging Kevin Zumberg, but now down into P5, getting swallowed up by the pack and maybe being overwhelmed by the rest of them too. But what a shocking start from both Williams there. Kick and Lucas, and I believe one of them's got damage. I think it is Lucas got damage unfortunately as well. So what a horrendous start for both Williams drivers. And how did you see that, Milan, going down towards turn 1?
Yeah, it was absolutely crazy. I think there was Geitega sending it up the inside. He had a great start as well, and then there was contact between Kick. He might have been, I think he got hit from behind. He was very slow on the exit, and the cars behind were just for pushing through, and that unfortunately sent Kick around. But he hasn't lost too much. He's still in P6. He's still in this train of the top 6. Although Kevin has walked away already from Geitega from 7th on the grid up to second place. What a brilliant start he has had. We're on to the second lap. The gap is 1.6 though between himself and Kevin, who is already running away with this race. But Geitega is in second. Then the two Ferraris in P3 and P4, yellow flags behind. But the Ferraris both have made a few positions. Fireblaze up to P4, 1 position gained, and Ivan 3 positions gained, finds himself in a podium position. And Leonard in P5, he had a great start as well, as he was almost challenging for a race lead with Kevin, but then lost out in the Lacombe chicane, now getting under attack then from Kick on his way back to the front, gets past the V-Carbs up to P5 in the background, the other V-Carb of Mels with a decent start. He gained 2 positions up to P7 at Octavia. Daniele in P9 with 4 positions gained, and Ticey has stayed in P10.
Indeed it is as well. So Havan has got past Geitega. That could be very critical. Does Havan have the outright pace, try and catch towards Kevin Zumberg? He's broke free from the DRS as well. No driver is able to challenge him at this stage of the Grand Prix. Can he keep it that way? What can Havan do? Does Havan have the pace on his first race back here in SDN? The gap is 1.8 seconds, and it's so hard to bring on the gap, especially when the driver's got around the same pace as well. It's just so difficult. You're just hoping and praying that the driver in front of you makes a mistake as well. But Kevin Zumberg, we've seen his consistency has been absolutely flawless this season as well, and trouble-free, drama-free too. And Kevin, he was lucky as well down towards turn 1 not to get spun around by, I think, one of the Williams drivers there too, because I think that the Williams could have easily spun him around, but he didn't. Kevin Zumberg stayed there in first place, but he was under massive pressure going down towards the calm. by the Racing Bull and the Red Bull too, as Khatikas went through LS3. LS3 has been relegated into P6. Keck gets ahead of him, so LS3, great start, but unfortunately down towards P6, got overwhelmed by the rest of the guys behind him, and I wonder as well, was he just struggling in the early stages of the Grand Prix? Was the tyres too cold? Was he not confident with the car, etc.? But let's see, hopefully settles into a rhythm and follows the DRS train. Following the DRS train at this part of the Grand Prix is very important too. And let's see, Khatikas is on the back of a van, so let's see if he overtakes him for P2. Here he is then, the Red Bull driver of Jens goes up into P2 and gets ahead of a van for the time being. Kick, however, is struggling to stay within the DRS range of Fireblade, so get a bit of touch there as a van literally cuts the corner going in towards turn 5 there, so hopefully he doesn't get a warning for that one, because any more infringements, that will lead to a 3-second penalty, and penalties can be picked up around here very easy too, especially in the first sector, especially in the dirty air with old tyres, heavy car, heavy fuel load. You've got to pay attention as well in terms of the car reacting. And Daniele dropping down the order. Let's see what's happened to him. Oh, unfortunately, he's lost his wing, has Daniela, so he's dropped down the order into P13 after a great start up into P9. He has broke his front wing, and the Aston Martin is trying to go up the inside too. That is Dion Stan, who's in P15, but about to take a place away. No, he's not, because Daniel defends that. But Dion Stan, he wants to get past the Haasman as quickly as he wants to, because he's losing downforce, he's losing time all the way through these corners, and he needs to make a pass immediately so he doesn't lose touch towards Lucas in P13. Does Lucas have damage? The answer is no. I thought he picked up damage after making contact with Kevin Zumberg, but looks like he's got away freely. We did definitely see a bit of common fibre come off the track there as well towards turn 1, but he's escaped from it. He's in P13. Can he make a comeback drive?
Yeah, he has started that comeback drive. On the last lap, he got past Colin through Blanchimont. Then he got past Dion Stan at the end of the Camel Straight. And then Daniele when he went off through a no-name corner. So he now finds himself in P13 after being 17th at the end of the opening lap. And now he's close to the back of TVHNL, which, well, I assume he's going to get past on the next on the Camel Straight, because TVHNL does not have the DRS and the Williams driver very much does. So, but if we look at the front, Geitenkaas, he's in P2. Is Avan going to stay behind for now? I think he is, but his teammate is closer behind. Fireblaze pulls to the inside of Avan, who is not going to fight him, and Fireblaze gets that position and is now up into the podium places. Avan has dropped down to P4, so he's going to stay with this train and follow their pace closely, and Kick then in P5, still within DRS range, trying to get back into his rhythm as well. Leonard still holding on very strongly in P6, so is Mels in P7. So the two V-Carbs doing a good job so far in this race. Toctage is still in P8 there, with Thijsie and Rijn rounding out the top 10 just ahead of Mominik, and Lucas has found a way past TVH and he's also been overtaken by Daniele, who has front wing damage, but still has some good pace it seems. But now they both have to close the gap towards the top 11, which is closed there by Mominik in the Kick Sauber, who started in P11 and stayed in P11 for the opening 3 laps. But at the front, Kevin Zonnenberg, he is absolutely dominating so far. He's 4.2 seconds clear of anyone else, so he's getting basically a second a lap on the cars around him, and he is already smelling that victory despite it still being 18 laps away. It's a long way to go, but it is looking good so far for our championship leader, wanting to extend that gap towards Fireblaze, who is sat in P3, but he's very close to the back of Geitenkaas and might be looking to get past on the Camel Straight as we go on to lap 5. Geitenkaas sat in P2 with 3/10 separating himself towards Fireblaze, and Ivan close behind, and so is Kick and Leonard. But Fireblaze now, he's going to have a run as we go down the hill and then back up the hill through Oruj and Radion. And he is closing that gap down to under 0.2 of a second, deploying the battery, and will now have the DRS to assist him. And Fireblaze is going to pull to the inside, and he is going to take second place from 5th on the grid. He started into second place as we are on lap 5.
We've also got a battle going on for P9 as well. Mel's game has been dropped 2 places. The Kick Sauber, Tyson got past, but Mel's might fancy a move around the outside, but the door has pretty much been shut. And no, he's not. He's going to go back down the inside into towards Forge, is he? Yep, side by side. It's a late move. Locks up the front side. The bang wheels in towards Jackie. He's caught him go. He gets back ahead. Mel's game is back up into P8. That's a sensational move to go back around the outside there as well. It looks like for one moment that it looks like, I think it was Tyson who got the move done. but the racing board just stayed in front. In the background, I think Ryan goes off the track as well in P10 there at the exit of P1, so struggling to keep in within the track limits there. It is such a high-speed corner, a lot of steering input, dirty areas ball in front of you, which will affect the car aerodynamics, and look at that. Ticey dipping the wheel in the gravel too. We'll see plenty. Oh, a massive slap there too from Mo's Gaming as he just saves the car. But Khatikas is struggling to stay within Fireblazer's DRS race. The gap was about 9/10 of a second too, and the van needs to follow through suitably as well because he wants a chance of a podium too against his teammate. How hard is the van fighting against his teammate? Because I'm not quite sure how those two are operating with each other. Are they working in harmony together to try and get the best possible result? We know Fireblaze is in the championship fight, so we can't afford to lose many points against Kevin Zumberg, although it's going to be very difficult challenging him in his Grand Prix because he's so far ahead. And the only thing that can bring him back together is a safety car. But Fireblaze, the gap is 4.6 seconds there. So I think his main target is trying to stay P2. Look at this lovely camera shot too from the outskirts of the track as we see Khatikas with the DRS wide open then. And let's see if Gochis will get back ahead of Fireblaze as we head down it's towards the calm, but he stays behind for the time being. Does Khatikas play the long game as well? Because obviously tyre wear is so high as well. You don't want to pit too early. You don't want to take too much out of your tyres as well. You want to follow in the DRS train if you can. It's quite a juxtaposition as well, because Fireblaze needs to push hard as he can, but save tyres. And I don't think he can get towards Kevin Zumberg with the gap being 4.4 seconds. It's such a tall order to bring that gap down. Even if you have good pace, it's just so difficult as well. You're asking a lot of tyres. You're asking a lot for yourself as well. And Kevin Zumberg can stretch easily and bring that gap, keep increasing that gap bit by a bit too. But Fireblaze will be just hoping that Kevin Zumberg makes a mistake, because that's the only way they're going to catch up to Kevin Zumberg, unless, of course, a safety car comes out. The gap is 5 seconds too, so Kevin is pulling tense in every single corner as well. TVH NL is the first driver to pick up a 3-second attack, so that's going to be costly towards him as well. Currently down to P14 is the Mercedes driver outside the top 10. His teammates up into P7, a second away from LS3 in front of him. LS3 seems like he's settled into a rhythm. Where's Lucas? Still on the P12, so he's behind that DRS train, consistent on Mummy Nick, Ryan, Mel's Gaming, and Ticey too. So still hasn't made much inroads like I thought he'd do with the pace he has, but there's still a long way to go. Safety cars can be deployed. We saw what happened last season with the weather too, and safety cars that can really change with the order. LS3 is pitted, and somebody is off the track. Ooh. That was the Red Bull driver. That was Ryan who goes off the track, and Mummy Nick gets promoted up into P10. But Milan, that is a very early pit stop, mate.
It is lap 7 of 22. It means he's gonna have to do 15 laps on the hards, and Lucas, he is doing the same thing. He's going for that undercut because he simply doesn't have anything to lose. He's outside to the top 12, and he just found out over the past few laps that it's very difficult to overtake in that DRS train. He closed the gap towards Mommy Nick, but then after that he just pretty much remains stuck behind those drivers, and that is why he's pulled early into the pit lane at the end of lap 6 on 7. It's going to be a long stint for Lucas, but I think he is going to gain a lot of time with the undercut, and same for Leonard, who probably will be close to getting ahead of Fireblaze when they pit, because I don't think they're going to pit on this lap. They might want to extend a little bit longer and have the tire advantage at the end of the race, unless they are going to respond to that and pull it a bit right now. But both Leonard and Lucas going for the undercut and hoping that they can get a few more positions and hold on to that later on in this race, especially Lucas, who was on his comeback drive. He can't afford to be in so much traffic because he will just lose too much time. So I think it's a reasonable decision to put into the pit lane right now, if he has the confidence that he's going to be able to nurse these tires towards the end of the race, because 50 laps, it is a long way to go on the hards even as well. So it's going to be interesting to see if he's going to be able to do that. But Kevin Zumberg, he's out in the lead by 4.8 seconds. The gap has stabilized a little bit towards Fireblaze. Of course, still going on here in this race. Fireblaze is also still staying out. I think they're all still staying out. No, Kick is not. The other Williams is putting to the pit lane as well. He was a little bit stuck behind that train as well, so he is going to go for the undercut to potentially get ahead of all of those drivers and put himself in P2 and potentially build a gap towards Carbine. Tokvevje into the pit lane, and so is Daniele and TVHNL. So a lot of these drivers pulling into the pit lane quite early, earlier than you would think. But let's see where Kick is going to come out compared to Leonard, because Leonard was right behind the Williams. But now with the 1 lap undercut, I think he will be behind, or really he's very close on the exit. Big moment there for Kick, but he's just about ahead of Leonard then, but Leonard, he's got the tire temperature and he will have the DRS as we go onto the Camel Straight, so I think he's going to get past, almost pushing the Williams up the hill then. Now with the help of DRS, he's going to be able to get ahead. I think he is. Pulls to the inside, and Leonard is going to get ahead of the Williams. So he's already gained 1 position with the undercut, and with 2 more laps, I think he might be able to get ahead of the Ferraris and Geitegas possibly as well when they put him to the pit lane.
Yeah, so you can see the power on the undercut there too. LS3 does get ahead, a kick as well, so that tells me that he'll get ahead of Geitegas, Ivan and Fireblaze. One of the 2 to 4 drivers, I have to say they're longer than the other, but these guys pitting right now as Ryan gets a 3-second time penalty. These guys pitting right now might have to pay the price towards in the Grand Prix because the tyre weight is so high around the circuit. So that means then they get the advantage right now and try to do the undercut, but towards the last stages, we saw this at the Belgian Grand Prix in another league where people pitted early, and the people who pitted later had the advantage, the tyre wear, got through and pulled the gap as well. So I wonder if these guys pit right now might have to suffer the consequences later in the Grand Prix and might have to drop back a bit too. So let's see, Geitegas must have made a mistake because the gap is 1.9 seconds then, and Fireblaze is in the pit lane. So before he pitted, on his in-lap, or out-lap, sorry, or is it in-lap? Yeah, on his in-lap, he built up a gap of 2 seconds of Geitegas as well. So that was doable for him. He's on a brand new set of hardcore pad tyres right now. Ivan goes, Geitegas goes as well. And we know what happens with pad players too on this game. The tyre weighs higher for them than it is on the wheels. So Geitegas, unfortunately for him, will experience a lot of pain with tyre wear. But let's see where Fireblaze rejoins in comparison towards this race. He stays in P5. Does he? Yeah, he stays ahead of LS3 Kick. Such brilliant laps from the Dutchman of Fireblaze, but somebody has became a cropper down towards the final corner. Who was that? Was that Daniela again? I'm not quite sure, but the yellow flags were out for a brief moment. Both Hassers are down at the back of the field then, so unfortunately for them, they're struggling in this Grand Prix. TVH and now rejoins ahead of Dion Stan for P14. Kick gets ahead of LS3, and that's quite crucial as well. So I wonder, did Kick lose time momentum behind LS3? LS3 didn't have to pace, did he, to try and get Fireblaze on the undercut despite being out there 2 laps later? So that's quite interesting there. Fireblaze managed to hold on to P5, and we've seen some mighty pace when Fireblaze does that. It's one of the first time I've seen him do that before as well, when he's in clean air and pulls a gap and still stays ahead of the guys who pits behind earlier than him. So he's done the overcut essentially as Fireblaze, and let's see if it pays dividends for him later in the Grand Prix. Mummy Nick is up to P4 of course, but of course yet to pit in this race, and 9.1 is the gap between himself and Ivan. So Ivan and Geitegas will have to pit this lap, and Kevin Sundberg can pit whenever he wants really as well. He can play the cards, he can play the strategy, whatever he likes decide to do. He can start there as long as he wants, reduce the tyres towards the Grand Prix, or pit right now, which he has done, because he's taken no precautions, he's taken no threats as well, no risks shall I say, and he's pitted right now onto a new set of hardcore power tyres. Geitegas and Ivan have followed him too for a new set of hardcore power tyres. Where will they feed in? Is it behind kicking LS3 for Geitegas and Ivan? We're about to find out now as these two come towards the Buster chicane, and the DRS is wide open for LS3. So it's going to be very interesting to see where those two fill in. Is it behind the Racing Bull as we head down towards turn 1? We'll see the two enter the pit lane shortly, and they're behind. There they are. Geitegas and Ivan have dropped back dramatically, and they're P5 and P6. The gap is 2 seconds, but they are fresh hardcore power tyres, so that could help them towards the last stage of the Grand Prix. Look at Octavia as well. Octavia's caught up once again.
That is the undercut coming into effect then, with Leonard up to P4, and Kick now finds himself in a podium position, and he's also closed the gap towards Fireblaze to under a second. So he's now back into clean air. He was on the front row. He was in P2 I think on the grid. Yeah, he was before he had that spin in turn 1, but now he finds himself in P3 and close to Fireblaze. The gap between Fireblaze and Kevin Sundberg has come down quite significantly by 2 seconds, no less. 2.8 seconds is the gap, though I still think Kevin will still be quite comfortable out in front, because his pace just has been that mighty so far in this race. Fireblaze is close to 3 seconds behind, and then it's Kick in the Williams. Leonard, he has fallen behind those two a little bit already. Gap is 1.3 seconds, but he is 2.5 seconds ahead of the likes of Geitegas and Ivan, who stayed out for a few laps longer than those who pitted early. And Octavia now finds himself in a very handy position as well, within the arrest range of Ivan and Geitegas. And if he can keep it that way, then he might come a very long way in this race to get a very good result. If he can keep the pace up to Van and Geitengaas, who both have tire advantage at this stage, and especially at the end of this race. So it might be a very good day for Octavia, though he cuts across the inside there of the bus stop chicane, but he's found himself in P7 and close to the back of Van. And Lucas in P8, he is back in this train as well, in the train of Geitengaas and Van. So Lucas has done a great job with the undercut to get back into a good position to score some good points again. So let's see where he will be at the end of the race, although we know that he's going to have to do some tire management because he still has half the race to go, and his tires are 4 laps older or 2-3 laps older than everyone else around him. So he's going to have to conserve those tires a little bit more than the drivers around him. So that is something he's going to have to keep in mind for the remainder of the race. Behind, Mels gets past Thijsie and now finds himself up to P9. As the Sauber back down to P10. He started in P10 and is currently still in P10. And the same for his teammate behind, Mominek, who started in P11 and is also in P11. And he went out for the overcut and still has to come out in the same position just ahead of Ryan in the Red Bull. And what has happened to Danny? And a big crash there, all out of the Lecombe chicane, and the safety car has not been deployed. It's a virtual safety car, but a huge crash there for Daniele, who has crashed out of what is turn 7. That is a very strange place to see an accident, but Daniele is out of the race, and we've got a virtual safety car.
Not gonna lie, I would have loved a safety car to come out just to try and get it packed together again and give Kevin Zumberg a run for his money, because Fireblaze, like you said, the gap was like 5 seconds before they pit as well between Kevin and Fireblaze, and it went down to 2.3 as I saw it as well. So Fireblaze would be wishing that was a safety car to bring himself in contention towards Kevin Zumberg, and that would have been so interesting as well to see Fireblaze versus Kevin Zumberg. And the Ferrari driver, I must say, in every single league I've seen him racing, he has always been the second best, third best, always. I've not seen him win a race for a long time. The last win he had around here in SDN was the Hungarian Grand Prix, and we know what happened there, don't we? Oh no, what has he done? Fireblaze! Oh, Fireblaze! He just picked himself up a penalty. It's a drive-through penalty for speeding under the VSC. And look who's in contention, look who's there. LS3 is right behind Kick, and this could be a big opportunity for LS3 to get a podium, because Fireblaze has got a drive-through penalty and Kick is right in front of him too. So this is a good chance for LS3 on his debut here in Division 1-2. And Lucas behind him, gets past Octavia. He puts himself up into P7 ahead of the Mercedes driver. And that VSC has split some guys within the DRS range, because Van was in DRS range of Geitengaas and Octavia was in DRS range of Van, but he's out of it now. And some people kind of take advantage of the VSC too, because if your reactions are very good and you're very witty about it and have like good cat-like reactions, you can get a bit of an advantage of the rest of the guys ahead as well if you time it to perfection. I think Fireblaze tried to do that, but I don't think he obviously he didn't time to perfection, and he got himself a draft penalty as well, which is a massive shame. Probably trying to break himself out of DRS range of Kick. That's why you're going to pay attention at all times, because I know a lot of drivers in league races to try and use the VSC to their advantage, try and break away from other people, because everybody's reaction when the VSC goes is not going to be the same. Although Fireblaze has done it, but unfortunately he has got a drive-through penalty to go with it as well. That could have massive complications for the championship too. What's it going to do for the championship now between Fireblaze and Kevin Zumberg? Fireblaze got to pit and lose all the time. I think he might as well pit now to get out of the way, but he stays out there to do one more lap. You can do 3 laps before you're going to pit, and he'll be absolutely kicking himself as well. After a dismal qualifying, started down in P6, up into P2, a chance for a podium, but now completely thrown out the window due to this penalty too. And I think before he got to pit as well right now, before the safety car comes out, because when the safety car comes out, I think that'll be his last chance as well before going to do another lap as well. So Fireblaze there, unfortunately, with that penalty. And LS3 has dropped away from the DRS, and now Geitengaas is right behind LS3 then. So it looked like for one moment LS3 was in the hot spot to get a podium, but the Red Bull driver has caught up to the Racing Bull driver, and hopefully there's no team orders there between those two. Of course, I'm only joking, between Red Bull and Racing Bull, of course. Thijsie and Moles Gaming swap places. Thijsie goes up into P9. Those two have been pretty much glued together for the whole race, and they're in their own separate battle. But Mum and Nick is right behind, on newer tyres, and the gap is 7.5 seconds between him. Can Mum and Nick get himself inside the top 10? We're about to find out. But Geitengaas is right behind LS3 in the Racing Bull. There's some massive pressure. Plus, Khatikas is on newer tyres in comparison towards Kick and Fireplace, so that could come in handy for him too later on in this Grand Prix. But first of all, he's got to get past the Racing Bull, and I think he'll do it on the next lap.
Indeed, and Khatikas actually he had dropped Van a little bit. The gap was around 1.5, 1.6 seconds at the beginning of this lap, but now Khatikas, he's getting held up by the RB just ahead, and now Van is back within DRS range. So Leonard, he was very close to the cars ahead of him at the safety car restart, but now he has dropped behind significantly. The gap is 2.7 seconds towards Kick and Fireblaze, and Khatikas is looking to find a way past, potentially on the next lap, as we will navigate our way up the Camel Straight as Fireblaze pulls into the pit lane to serve his drive-through penalty. Let's see where he's going to come out. Probably behind Octavia in P8. Although if he's very unlucky, he might even be further right. Yes, he is. He's going to be behind Mels in P9. Coming out in P10. Very not ideal for the man second in the championship, especially not when your championship rival is leading this race by 5.5 seconds. So yeah, very unfortunate then for Fireblaze, and now he's going to have to start a comeback drive somewhat, if he's going to be able to do that, as Khatikas does get past Leonard up the inside after the comp chicane, and Khatikas is now up into a podium position. I said he was struggling on this game early on in qualifying, but clearly not, because he finds himself in a podium position right now, 2 seconds behind Kick, who is now be put into free air to run his own race right now. And let's see if Khatikas is going to be able to close that gap by any means towards Kick, as the other Red Bull of Ryan picks up a 3-second time penalty. While there's some battling going on there between Dion and TVHNL through the Locom chicane. The Aston Martin is ahead of the Mercedes, with Colin close behind in P15 and Dennis in P16. Not sure what happened to Dennis in this race. He just suddenly fell behind. He made an extra pit stop and is way down the order in P16 for the entirety of this race so far. So a pretty pointless race so far for the Alpine, unfortunately. But we are at the end of lap 14. Means 8 laps to go after the next one, as this one is completed. And Kevin has extended his gap by another second towards Kick and Khatikas. He is closing that gap down a little bit, but he has to use quite a bit of battery to close the gap down. It's 1.6 now. As we go into the next lap, Leonard, he is in P4 now, 1.4 seconds. He's been dropped by the Red Bull driver immediately, and now he's under pressure from a Van, who is very close at the back at the exit of the Source hairpin, and we'll be looking to get past him onto the Camel Straight. Both of them draining the battery. Have barely got anything left, but the Ferrari driver will have the DRS, but does he have the straight line speed to be able to get past the RB driver? He is going to close that gap, use the last bit of battery still there, and he goes to the outside, and now Avan is getting ahead of Leonard, and he's up at the P4.
Indeed he is then. Can he catch up to Khatikas? They're both on the same age of tyres, or both of them. They pitted on the same lap, so it could be a battle for P3 and P4 between Khatikas and Avan. The last spot on the podium, but watch, somebody's became a cropper down there in towards the final corner. FaZe Dennis. Yeah, like you said, FaZe Dennis, we haven't really known what's happened to him, because on my timing towers, he was first place, and that's why I was getting so confused, because I was reading the wrong name out. That's why the start of the race call wasn't good for me, because the timing tower was all over the place, unfortunately. But yeah, based on this, he pitted, I think, on the end of lap 1. I think some damage happened to him, and ever since then we haven't really seen him. But that is P16, running his own race there on 6-lap-old hardcore powered tyres, continuing towards the end. But I think he's got a bit of damage the way he's driving. He has picked up damage on the right hand side, so he's lost an end plate there, unfortunately. But NS3 is remaining in DRS range, and Lucas is trying to get himself a DRS range of NS3 and Avan too. So can Avan bring that gap down? Is there a chance for a podium for Avan? He's replacing Mike, and trust me, Mike is a very, very good driver indeed, but unfortunately, there's been a lot of things happening behind the scenes between Mike and other people in the league too. So it's really a shame to see a good driver go, a good character, of course. Him and Fireblaze have been working well together as well. We've seen in the past few races, but unfortunately, that partnership has ended. And Ivan has joined now in P4 on a brand new game, or a brand new PS5 and the game too, and already showing some tremendous pace in the Ferrari there too. The more practice he does, the better he'll become, of course, and hopefully we will see him become a challenger in the next couple of races. We talked about the championship, how Fireblaze has the advantage, but it's still round 4, as Dennis has makes another mistake as well down there in 60th place. They're struggling out there so on the track, but It's still only round 4. I keep thinking it's like later on in the season, but it's not, because we had such a massive break. I can't believe we only had 3 races. Now this is the 4th one, and it's been such a long time since the last race in Saudi Arabia in July. It was July. It's been such a long time. It makes me think that we've done more races than we've already done this season, Milan.
Indeed, it just feels like it's been so long since the last race. It's yeah, like you said, it's only the 4th race. There's yellow flags out again for Face Dennis out of the final chicane, putting into the pit lane. Pretty terrible race he's been running so far, and driving some interesting lines into the pit lane and destroying the pit board for good measure. And no surprise to see him become our 2nd retirement of this race. So Daniele and Dennis both out. Now on lap 16 of 22, there's at least 15 drivers still remaining in this race. But we go on to lap 17 of 22. We've got 6 laps to go, and Kevin still extending that advantage. Now over 8 seconds towards Kik in P2, who is stabilizing the gap between himself and Geiteka's, whilst also managing his tires and his battery levels. He's got way more than the Ripple driver. The gap's still 1.6. And Van is unable to close the gap down towards Geiteka's right now. And Leonard, he has now dropped out of the arrest range towards the Ferrari driver. And now he's got Lucas for company, who is looking to get past as well on the Camel Straight. And with the help of DRS, the Harvey driver pulls to the inside. And Lucas with the overspeed, round the outside he goes. And Lucas now back into the top 5. He spun at the end of the opening lap. On the 2nd lap, he was down in P17, he went for the undercut, and now he finds himself inside the top 5. So great comeback drive so far for Lucas, but he knows that he needs to keep these tires alive for the remaining 6 laps. But the same will be said for Leonard in P6, who put it on the same lap. And will he be under pressure from Octavia? Is there anything he can do in this race? Can he potentially go for a P6 finish? A top 6 would be a very good result for Octavia in this race, who has been quite unnoticed in this race. He's been driving around this track, but hasn't done anything spectacular so far. But he's looking for a good result here in the Mercedes, 1.2 seconds behind Leonard, who is trying to stay within the arrest range, just like he tried with a Van, but ultimately fell out after a few laps. Mels in P8 in the other RB, looking for a decent result. Tycee 8/10 behind, and Fireblaze, who has closed the gap towards Tycee, who also has a 3-second time penalty. We'll be looking to get past him on the next lap, and I think he should be able to clear Mels with relative ease as well. But after that, I think it might be P8 at best for Fireblaze, because the gap towards Octavia is 3.5 seconds after Mels, and he's not going to get past these two immediately. So it might only be P8 for Fireblaze, which it's not good news for him in the championship, but like you said, it is still early days, and anything can happen. But we've got 5 laps to go, and the bad news is for Fireblaze that Tycee also has the DRS. But Fireblaze does have the ERS advantage. He's going to use that battery to good effect, and he is closing that gap once again. Pulls to the inside, and the Ferrari driver, he is going to get ahead of the Sauber into the braking zone of the corner. Fireblaze is now up to P9. And we'll be looking to get past Mels as soon as possible as well.
Indeed then, and somebody else has spun down towards turn 1 at La Source. It is Papa, unfortunately. Papa 2's gone for a spin there. And interestingly as well, Haas hasn't really had a good race this season. Neither driver struggled in qualifying, both of them as well. Daniel did get it to P9 in the early stages of the Grand Prix, and obviously had his problems and retired from this race then. So been a shame for both of them, and Papa unfortunately has got front wing damage on his end plate there. Geiteka's has dropped backwards and now possibly in the clutches of a Van. So I thought that when Geiteka's got past LS3, who'd been the back of Kik with no problem with the 2-lap difference in tyres there, but with no tyres on the pad is much more higher. The wear is much more higher in comparison towards the wheel then. So I wonder if Geiteka's could be under pressure for Evan. And it's a shame because he's looking for his first podium of the season, and also Evan too. Geiteka's hasn't had a podium since the Spanish Grand Prix, and he won there too. And after that, he hasn't had a podium since. His best result has been P4 back at the Brazilian Grand Prix towards that chaotic ending, towards the end of the Grand Prix. But he's got to watch out because Evan's there. And guess what? Lucas is there too on older tyres in comparison towards both of them as well. His tyres are torn up old. He pitted very early in the Grand Prix. And that was a very smart thing to do as well, pitting early to get the guys ahead, because he knew you'd be stuck in that DRS train. So pit early, get ahead of the train, and make your way through that way, and possibly pay the price later in the Grand Prix. But his pace seems relatively good so far. There's no signs of him dropping off the pace yet in this Grand Prix. It still seems strong, still keeps going. But I wonder as well, will he struggle towards the last stage of the Grand Prix? Lap 19 out of 22, and Kevin Zumberg has been an unstoppable force in this race. Nobody can match his pace. He broke the DRS on lap 1 when the two Williams had a spin, tripped over themselves, and also had to cast as well in P2. Just couldn't keep up at the end of lap 1. He broke the DRS already, and ever since then, he hasn't been seen since. He's barely got the screen time. That's what happens when the leaders in first place by a milestone. They're in first place, but they have no screen time. They're forgotten, which is ironic. They're in first place. The gap is almost 10 seconds between himself and Kick, and he's running a very good race so far. We'll give him a bit of screen time on board with the McLaren driver right now. And he doesn't have a teammate in the Grand Prix either, because there's a glitch where one McLaren driver gets the livery, the other one doesn't, and Kevin's been unlucky by not getting the livery as well, so he doesn't have the chrome livery attached to his McLaren car, but I don't think he'll care about that at all. There is 3 laps left to go for Kevin Zumberg, and he's been plain sailing in this Grand Prix throughout the whole race, and he's been doing such an exceptional job as well with the pace in hand he has over the rest of the field. And it's going to be quite a worrying sight for the rest of the field too, to see with Kevin's pace just unstoppable so far. Well, obviously, I was going to say I haven't seen him made any mistakes, but obviously I haven't been on board with him, or I haven't seen him, so I can't really comment if he has made mistakes or not in this race. But the main battle is for P3. Khatikas and Ivan. The gap is 7/10 of a second, and so Ivan is sniffing for a podium on his debut back here at the Belgium Grand Prix after missing a couple of races. Only missed 3 races if you think about it as well, so hasn't missed much in this season in SDN. Fireblaze gets ahead of Miles Gabe and puts himself up into P8 there. But Ivan, if he can get a podium, what a debut for him as well on the game for the first time this season too. His last podium was at the Las Vegas Grand Prix, and I definitely remember what happened that night too, because I was out partying all night. Not in Las Vegas, but somewhere else. But Ivan then 5 tenths behind Khatikas. Let's see which one of these two Dutchies will get a podium. So far, it's a Dutch 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, Dutch 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, because I think NS3 or Leonard is German as well. Fireblaze, the gap is 2.3 between himself and Dottieri, so I think he can't catch him. But Lucas at Milan is almost the DS Race 2 of Ivan and Khatikas.
It would be very impressive if Lucas finds the way to end up on the podium. Even having these older tires, he had that spin earlier on, fought his way back up the order without any safety car, only a VSC, but you can't close the gap under a VSC. But he went for the undercut, and at the moment he is about to get in within DRS range. Yes, he is, as yellow flags are out because of Ryan, who has spun at the same place where Giovinazzi has spun back in 2020, but the Red Bull driver has gone off down in P12, not having a great time either in this race. But Lucas, he is within DRS range, struggling a little bit though under braking for the source, with the back end wanting to step out. But it has turned into a 3-way fight then for the final spot on the podium. Kick is pretty much safe there in P2. The gap's 2.5 seconds towards Khatikas, but Ivan, he is there, and so is Lucas, although they're still quite stretched out. But is there anything either of them can do to knock Khatikas off that final spot on the podium? Because I'm for sure that all these 3 drivers want to get that podium place desperately. Khatikas hasn't been on the podium for a while. Ivan on his return, and Lucas after his earlier off. He started in P3, definitely deserved to be up there, but unfortunately got spun around on the second lap. So all of these drivers definitely deserve to be on the podium, but only one of them is going to be able to achieve that. So let's see which one of these 3 drivers it's going to be at the end of the next lap. With Leonard in P6, looks to be quite comfortable as well, but Octavia is close behind, 1.2 seconds. But I don't think it's going to be close enough for him to put any challenge to the 6th position. And Fireblaze, actually, I said he might be a little bit too far towards Octavia, but he has closed this gap rapidly, and the gap is 1.2 seconds. So actually, Fireblaze, he might be able to get ahead of Octavia on the final lap, and maybe have a go at Leonard, but it's really going to be quite close. because there's not a lot of time left in this race. But look at Avan, look how close he is to the back now of Geitenkaas as we will go on to the final lap. Kevin leads by a country mile, a kick in P2, but who is going to get that final spot on the podium as we go on to the final lap of this race?
DRS enabled for Avan, but he's just used the DRS to get himself closer and save the battery, because all the battery will be dumped on the Camel Straight. Lucas is right behind too. This is the battle for third place, the final spot on the podium. Only one driver out of these three can step on it as we head through Eau Rouge and Radio. We go. The gap is about 5 tenths, 6 tenths, 7 tenths of a second there. Geitenkaas, he's used the battery. Avan has no straight line speed. He's vulnerable towards Lucas as we head down towards the calm, and Geitenkaas stays at P3. So despite having the battery, despite having the DRS and slipstream, Avan could not get past. He didn't really gain anything on the straight. He lost time on the straight despite having the wing open. So great there for Geitenkaas. I think he was saving his battery later on as Fireblaze does get ahead of Octavia. He puts himself up into P7 ahead of the Mercedes driver after getting a drive penalty for speeding under the VSC, and everybody outside the top 10 has got a 3-second penalty, including Ticey too. Ticey will finish in P10 after a great drive for him in the kickstart. But Nick and Ticey, I think, will stay where they started. Yeah, look, 8th, 9th, 10th, and 11th, 12th have stayed where they started. That's incredible indeed. But maybe Dion Stan might have something to say from that. He started out in P17. But Kevin Zundberg, the Dutchman, is headed towards the Buster chicane like Jenson Button did in 2012 in McLaren. Kevin Zundberg is making his way through the final corner, and it's 3 wins in a row for Kevin Zundberg. Kevin wins the Belgian Grand Prix. What a sensational drive from the Dutchman. He hasn't looked back since ever since he got tapped to the rear by the Williams. And Avan and Lucas scrapping away for 3rd and 4th. And let's see who gets ahead. It's Avan, but Geitenkaas is on the podium for the first time since the Spanish Grand Prix, and Kick finished on the podium too for the first time this season. Avan 4th ahead of Lucas, LS3 P6, and Fireblaze finishes in P7 ahead of Octavia. Miles came in P9 as well. Bit of a quiet race for Miles in P9, and Ticey rounds off the top 10 for Kickstarter there too. Mummy Nick 11 ahead of Dion Stan, Ryan, TV Janelle, and Papa in P15. But what a race for Kevin Zundberg as well. Absolutely dominant. One of the most dominant races he's ever had, I think, in his career in F1 league racing. And he's done such a superb job as well. But the competition will be higher as well when the drivers get more comfortable and confident too in the next races. As Kick gets his first podium this season too. Bit of a quiet race for him. Why do you lot think I've raced Australia? Why do you lot think I raced Australia? Says Kevin Zundberg. What did we talk about Australia, Milan?
Australia, I'm not quite sure. He didn't race Australia, but it is still his 3rd win in a row, so I'm not sure
No, we talk about the sprint race, Kevin. That's what we meant. 3rd win in a row. Sprint, feature, Saudi Arabia, and this race. So we count it as 3 in a row, 3 wins in a row. But it wasn't you who raced Australia. It was Finn Hertz who raced in Australia, and Dylan Hogeland finished in 1st place. But yeah, Kevin, well done today, mate. Goed gedaan vandaag. Fantastic job.
Yeah, great drive indeed. He started from pole and he got that gap at the end of the opening lap, and he just did not look back and then drove straight towards a dominant victory. So well done to him on this win, very much deserved. And Kick in P2, and Geitenkaas holding on to that podium from 7th on the grid. Avan holding on to that P4, actually very close going into the final chicane, because Lucas, he was having the overspeed down at the exit of Blanchemont, and he sent one round the outside into the chicane, but he just was a little bit too late on the brakes, and then he went off track. He had to cut across the second part of the bus-stop chicane, which meant that Avan was able to stay in P4. But Lucas still a remarkable comeback drive from him. That was in P17 at the end of the second lap, and did end up finishing in P5 in close contention of getting that podium position. So a very good drive for him as well. And then in P6 and Fireblaze, yeah, unfortunate with that penalty, and in the end does have to settle for 7th place. But it was a good race regardless, and I certainly enjoyed it once again.
Me too. I certainly enjoyed this race. And Milan, mate, I know we've been separated for over a month as well. I've missed you so much, mate, in the cards box. I've absolutely missed you.
Yeah, it's mutual. I'll say that. But yeah, it was great after being away from such a long time, and we still got it despite both being still maybe a little bit ill. But
Yes.
I think we put on a good performance and hope to be back even stronger next week when we resume the season.
Yeah, so basically, me and Milan are ill, and we haven't commentated for each other for such a long time because Milan has been in Italy on holiday for 2 weeks as well. So we haven't been together for a long time. We've been separated, but we're back together. And yeah, I don't think you guys would have noticed it, but we have been separated for quite a long time. But still do a relatively good job despite the issues we have to face sometimes. So hopefully you all enjoyed the race. I certainly did. Milan did as well. And Mikey Hugh has been here the whole time. I didn't even know. I forgot he was still here. Why didn't he race? That's the question. It would have been interesting to see what he could do. I think he is a Division 1 driver, so quite surprised he didn't race. He'd been spectator the whole time. Maybe we could have a third commentator in the chat, but obviously I don't think he's a commentator in general. But yeah, Milan, you said the Bahrain Grand Prix next week. I won't be here because I will be in the Netherlands next week. So yeah, so I will miss the Bahrain Grand Prix because I'll be in the Netherlands on the 5th of September when the race starts. So unless a Dutchman in this league invites me to their house and has a spare PS5 and lets me commentate, then yeah, I'll do it. But unfortunately I can't because I'll be spending a lot of time in Amsterdam. So I'll be somewhere else next week, but I'm sure Milan will do a good job as he always does in commentary.
Thank you very much, and I certainly will be there next week on Friday, so look forward to that, and wish you a lot of fun in Amsterdam, and then see you back in 2 weeks in SDN for the Mexican Grand Prix round 6.
I've been given the green light to go to the red light, but anyways, I'll see you all later. I'll see you all later for the Mexican Grand Prix in 2 weeks' time. And talk about Mexico as well before we ride it off. Sergio Perez and Valtteri Bottas are back in F1, and I'm happy because I like Bottas, I like Perez. They both deserve a second chance, and a lot of people have forgotten what Perez can do. They only think about the Red Bull days, which is fair enough. But at the same time, though, Perez has been a force to be reckoned with in a midfield car, a midfield Ferrari power car. Sauber back in 2012 when he was in the Sauber, and 2011 too. And Bottas has always been a fantastic driver too. I know Milan Langer's happy because he's a massive Valtteri Bottas fan, so I think a majority of F1 fans are happy. Bottas and Perez back together, and that's good for Cadillac. That's exactly what they need. Thoughts on that, Milan?
Yeah, exactly. All they need right now is experience as a new team. So I'm very glad they went with that lineup, and I'm very excited of the 2026 season. I hope they get a car which is somewhat competitive. To see them fighting it out for some points finish would be nice to see. But yeah, I'm very excited for next season, and I'm very happy with this lineup.
Me too. And that's it then for both of us. We are done here in Belgium, and I'll see you all in 2 weeks' time. The next race is in Bahrain next week at 6 o'clock UK time, 7 p.m. Dutch time, and Milan will take you through the commentary next week as well. And I'll see you all later. Explanation later, tot ziens.
Adios.
And also as well, enjoy the Dutch GP this weekend. I know a lot of Dutchies are going there too, so enjoy Zandvoort, and hopefully it'll be a decent race with the weather, I hope.